Good afternoon. This is the Green Room. I'm Katelyn Mattson, and we have guests with us today. We have stage director Marie Allyn King and former professor of opera from Wichita State, as well as the current director of the opera program at Wichita State, bass baritone Allyn Held. They are all working together in collaboration with Wichita Grand Opera to present Carlisle Floyd's opera Susannah. Hello and welcome.
Hello, good to
So
see you
great to
again.
see your face, Katelyn.
It's so good to have you both here. Um, Wonderful to see Marie. A bit of history between Marie and I. I was a sophomore music major at Wichita State when Marie Allyn King was hired to take on the role of director of opera there. And so she was one of my teachers and mentors for my undergraduate degree. Fond memories.
And Miss Katelyn Mattson was one of my favorite divas, who is a fantastic singer and also a wonderful stage animal, just a fierce, fierce actress, just great.
Well, now I can date you too, because I know what year that was.
Yes, yes. Now all this aging gracefully does me no good.
Exactly. Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Well, Tom,
This
I
is
want
your
to start.
best decade, my dear, let me tell you.
Oh, thank you. I want to start, Allyn, with you. Tell me a bit about how this collaboration came about with Wichita Grand Opera.
Well, I think the opera kind of chose the situation. Susannah is a very difficult role to do in universities because of some of the roles are a little advanced, especially for the bass baritone. It's not a college thing, but it's an opera that I wanted to do on campus. I did it back when I was a student in 1983, and I haven't sung it since. And so I thought, well, okay, it's time to do this once again. And the Wichita Grand Opera was looking for something to do this year as well. And we're at Wichita State, we're trying to do a lot of cooperative things with the symphony or with the orchestra, with I don't know, Music Theater Wichita or with Wichita Grand Opera. And this was a good vehicle to do that. They were looking for a show for this time period. And it also, we thought we wanted to get as many Wichita people involved as possible. So we have Mr. Ramey himself coming back to sing, who's probably sang Blitz more than just about anybody in history, coming back to sing the role of Elder McLean. I'll take on Blitz. He's the most recorded bass in history. So to have him trotting the boards once again is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And then to have Marie come back as well, it's kind of an all Wichita event. So what better than have the two opera entities in the city working together?
So Sam Raimi, he did not create the role of Blitz, but he was at the Metropolitan Opera. He did the Metropolitan Opera premiere of Susannah, and it kind of became one of his calling cards, and something that he was hired to do all around the country.
Absolutely. Well, the opera has always been popular on college campuses and in professional companies, but about the time that Sam started performing it, it kind of had this rebirth again. And so he became the Olin Blitz of choice.
Hmm. Marie, how many times have you directed Susannah?
This is the second time. And the first time was at the university when I was the director, and it was 9 years ago. And Sam had just joined the faculty as a distinguished visiting artist. And he expressed an interest. I had asked him initially if he would like to direct Susannah, because he's worked multiple times with Carlisle Floyd, who is the author of the piece. And I thought he would have great insights to bring to the students. But he was so dear. He was sort of shy, and he said, well, I'd really like to sing Blitz just one more time.
Oh,
And I thought, oh my God, the kids will
right.
they'll fall over when they're going to find out that they're going to perform as Samuel Ramey, which of course they did. And so they were thrilled to death. And so we did essentially a co-directing situation where I did all the big scenes, and in the scenes where he worked with the author and already knew the material backwards and forwards, I thought, well, Sam, you just do what Carlisle told you to do and it'll be fine.
That's just so incredible for the students. And you have, of course, students now in this production, and Sam Raimi in the production again. And students, Marie, you've been gone from the university long enough now that you've graduated all the students who started with you. So,
well, Brian Yakeley now,
right, of course, yeah.
Our little bat, Brian Yakeley, I think he was a freshman in 2011 or 2010. And he is now making a nice little career for himself. He's sung at Glimmerglass and Wolf Trap, and he's also started his own small opera company. He lives in Houston at the moment. But when Whitney Reader, who is the new director of the Wichita Grand Opera, called me and he said, "Oh, my little bat that we had dropped out, and I'm not quite sure what to do." I said, "You have to call Brian because he's ideal.
It was
He's
a great
perfect."
choice.
Yeah. So it's fun to be able to get some of our alumni back, especially since this is really an all Kansas production, and
Right.
that's pretty exciting for
It
me.
is.
That I always hoped Wichita Grand Opera would embrace the fact that we have so many outstanding Kansas artists.
It is. It's the meat, the potatoes. It's the casserole loving Midwest.
Yeah,
Breeds excellence in the arts.
it sure
I
does.
wholeheartedly agree. And it can be found in every small county in every corner of the state.
And our
Yes.
current students who are all involved in this are getting such a taste of that. And some of them are from outside of Wichita, and they're getting to see just, well, how special this is here. Some of them have roles, and the chorus sounds magnificent.
Yes, they really do.
Susannah is next weekend, November the 11th and November the 13th. The 11th is at 7:30, and then the Sunday afternoon matinee is at 3 o'clock. For tickets, go to wichita.universitytickets.com. It's going to be in Miller Concert Hall, so I imagine the box office will also be open before
Yes.
curtain. You can get them at the door, but to ensure your spot, wichita.universitytickets.com. We will be back and talk more with Marie Allyn King and Alan Held. The Toreador aria from Bizet's Carmen. And we are talking with Marie Allyn King and Alan Held, who are working together to stage Carlisle Floyd's opera Susannah with Sam Raimi singing a role. And I was reading about how this is also kind of a way for all of us to commemorate Sam's incredibly long, illustrious career and a milestone birthday.
Yes.
Absolutely. Sam turned 80 this past March.
He turned 80.
Believe it or not. And I mean, as I said, he's the most recorded bass in the history of opera. I wonder how many recordings you have of Sam there in the studio. I mean,
We
it's
have many.
incredible, his discography. So with that important milestone and still having a chance to have him on stage, this was a great time. And so the Wichita Grand Opera thought that they would like to honor him during these performances. And so I think it's after the first performance.
It's after the first performance. There will be
Or
a
before the first performance.
salute. No, after.
It's after.
Yeah.
They're going to have a short presentation to him, and he's got a little surprise for everybody as well. So
Oh boy, we like the sound of that. November 11th and 13th at Miller Concert Hall. Susannah, we've been talking about some of the cast. Tell us about who you're bringing in to sing Susannah.
you want to go ahead?
Sure. This is a lovely young woman named Mary Feminier. She's had a bit of a career in Europe already and is, doing very nicely, singing in some prominent U.S. houses. And so it's a treat. She's young, beautiful, has a lovely, creamy soprano voice, and pretty much everything you'd want for the role. So it's exciting. It'll be her first outing in the part. So it's
nice.
a huge demanding role, as you know, undoubtedly, because Susannah is never off stage. Some of the great Italian composers that we all may be more familiar with would give their diva a scene between two other characters to take a moment and get a little rest before she had to carry on. This role requires Susannah to be in every single scene.
Yeah.
So she's never off stage in this opera.
Yeah, it's a question of stamina.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
our conductor, Whitney Reader, worked with her in Geneva, Switzerland. And he remembered her and found she was living in Texas and thought, well, we'll bring her up to Wichita for this.
I believe she's in Fort Worth. Is that right?
I think so.
Alan?
I think so.
Yeah.
And of course, Whitney Reader is also a Wichita State University alum. So it really is a Wichita-centric production.
Oh, well, he came back after 15 years in Germany to take on this assignment of running the Wichita Grand Opera now. So we're looking forward to the whole Kansas celebration.
No, wonderful. All right. So one more time, it is the evening of Friday, November 11th at 7:30, and then Sunday afternoon, November the 13th at 3 o'clock. For tickets, you go to wichita.universitytickets.com. This is Carlisle Floyd's Susannah. You know what I didn't ask? Tell us a really brief synopsis. What is this about?
Well, we'll share this one. This is opera is based on the deuterocanonical story from the Bible of Susannah and the elders. She's a young woman who's only living with her brother, and in the hills of New Hope Valley, Tennessee. This is an opera in English as well, so people should know it. It's a very appropriate.
Well, it's in Appalachian.
Well,
so-
okay, Appalachian. Good point. Good point. So, but it's a story that everybody can understand how some of the elders from the local church see her and have lustful feelings for her, and then she comes to the church and she becomes a total outcast and is shunned. And the pastor, or the Reverend Allyn Blitch, then there's a seduction scene and finds out that she has been totally innocent all the while, all the things that they've said about her, none of those things could have been true. And then it just shows her strength through the piece as well, to see how she
evolves. She takes a very long journey from childhood, basically being an innocent teenager, to discovering how hypocritical people can be, and how judgmental they can be, and how, despite the fact that they're praising the Lord, they are very short on forgiveness. And she evolves into a strong and bitter woman as a result. And we hope she will get out of New Hope Valley, as she
it's a powerful piece.
claims early on. It's a wonderful.
And the music is gorgeous.
I think it's the greatest American opera.
It is incredible music. For anybody that's hesitant about going to an opera whose title you don't recognize, that isn't from the classical or romantic eras, it is absolutely gorgeous.
Yes, it's also rather short as operas go. This is the running time of the opera is only 1 hour and 45 minutes. So you could go to a film that was longer. It's a really extraordinary piece of theater.
November 11th and 13th at Miller Concert Hall, wichita.universitytickets.com. Go support the people of Wichita, this wonderful reunion of Wichitans and Kansans in general, and go and see Carlisle Floyd's Susannah. Marie Allyn King, stage director, and Allyn Held playing the role of the Reverend Blitch. Thank you both so much for being here. And Marie, it's so wonderful to see your face again.
Wonderful to see you. I hope we'll see you live and in person at the performance.
Oh, yes. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.